Gifty E.G. So she's been a nurse for over 20 years. In 2013, she graduated with a PhD in nursing from the University of the Western Cape, South Africa. As the Dean of School of Nursing, the University of Ghana in 2017 promoted her to the rank of an associate professor. And in 2021, the University Council elevated her to a full professor, making her the first nurse in Ghana to become a professor. Her rich experiences in her specialized area is sought after globally. As an external examiner, she also serves on a number of boards and institutions in a bid to improve healthcare in general. As a reviewer, my guest has published in many peer-reviewed journals. Her research interest lies in pain management, cancer and surgical nursing. Today, her interest is in training and mentoring young girls and nurses to enhance their skills and independence. Professor Lydia Aziato is the Dean, School of Nursing and Midwifery, University of Ghana, and she is my guest on Legends of Our Time. Hi, Prof.
Hello.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for the honor.
Okay, so the University Council on December 23, 2021 actually conferred on you, full professorship for what you do, your works. And to you, did you see it coming or was just by chance?
I worked for it, so I knew it was coming and it came. And I know that I deserve it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And how does it feel, to be the very first person? Of course, I know there are male and female nurses, but you as a woman and becoming the first professor in this country from your background as a nurse, how does it feel?
I feel I've broken a glass ceiling. I feel I've lifted some covering for the profession nursing and midwifery. I feel that I've made other nurses and midwives to see that it's possible for us to also reach the pinnacle of academia. I feel that it's a battle well fought, and I know that other nurses and midwives in the future are going to even do better than I did. And I also feel that for women, it is achievable.
Sure, that's good to know. So kindly take us through your journey. You started as a nurse, a practicing nurse, but along the line you branched into academia, and today you are a professor. How did it begin for you?
Okay, so I went to Kolebu Nursing and Midwifery Training College. That was 1994 to 1997. And then I came to the university. So after my nursing training, I was posted to Mamprovi Polyclinic as a staff nurse. But the fortunate thing about my journey was that at the time that I was graduating from Kolebu Nursing and Midwifery Training College, we organized graduating ceremony, and the then Director for Human Resource Ghana Health Service was the guest of honor. And in that program, out of the 6 subjects, I think I got 5 distinctions or so. So there were 3 of us who did very well, and he promised that if we're able to secure university admission, we don't have to work for the 3 years before we're qualified for study leave. My 2 other colleagues, one in the UK, one in the US, left shortly after graduation, and I stayed behind. So I was already an A-level student. I had finished my A-level before I went to nursing training, but I was a science student. I didn't make my chemistry and physics in my regular A-levels. So when I was at Kolebu during my nursing training, I used my student allowance to do evening classes to write the arts A-levels again. So by the time I was finishing my nursing training, I had passed my A-levels, government, the WATR, a traditional religion, how do you call it, and then BM, business management, of course, the general paper. So when the guest of honor gave a promise. I already have my qualification for the university.
So said, okay, Jack.
Fine. So I applied. Fortunately, I got the admission,
okay,
and I went to see him. So in 1998, I came to the University of Ghana to do my degree in nursing, and I combined it with psychology.
Okay.
And I finished in 2001 with the highest GPA of my class.
Wow.
And there again, the then head of department, Dr. Mary Opari, also identified 3 of us again to stay behind and help the faculty. 2 of my colleagues that stayed, within a few months left. One is in the UK, one in the US again. Those days, it was easy to travel as a nurse because there was this shortage of nurses,
okay,
the Western world, so you could travel, do your adaptation and practice as a nurse wherever you went. But then I decided to stay behind. Well, if you ask me what motivated me to stay behind, my personal belief is that if all of us should leave, who will care for our own? So I thought that, well, money is not everything, let me stay behind. And that time I also had my first child, so I stayed behind. So that was in 2001 when I joined the School of Nursing and Midwifery, not as a lecturer, but as a senior staff. Senior staff, you are in charge of training students in the clinical area, in the skills lab, organizing tutorials, standing in for some lectures, for some explanation here and there, we call it tutorials then. So in 2003, then I started my master's whilst I was working here, and I enrolled here. So those days we had the Canadians coming in to help start the master's program. So I enrolled and finished 2005-06 thereabouts. And I became, so at the University of Ghana, senior members, principally you come in as a lecturer.
Okay.
But now, without PAD, University of Ghana specifically, you will be appointed as an assistant lecturer. But that time that we came in, 2005-06 thereabouts, this particular regulation of a requirement for PAD before you become a lecturer wasn't there.
Okay.
So those of us, 3 of us then, we had the as a lecturer for I think a year, and we moved to lecturer position. But then, without a PAD, are you really an academic? Because you are limited. The skills at the master's level, undergraduate level, is not enough to be a full academic for the full complement of an academic. So in 2007, I got opportunity to get fund scholarship to go to the UK to start my PhD. At that time, I was pregnant with my second daughter. And so I delivered somewhere in January, and I had to go to school. So I deferred for, I think, about 6 months or so. And I left my girl around 7 months. I left her with my mother and a carer at that time to the UK in July 2007. So you go on study leave, and then you leave behind your family. So the children were 2 then, the boy that I had during the undergraduate program, and then this one. My mother was alive, so I was fine. Now, like I said, if you're a nurse and you travel, you get to work easily. So when I went to Cardiff, I was working in the nursing homes. One nursing home, the law says you can work for 20 hours, but if you are working with agencies, they don't really respect the law. So you are given shifts here and there based on your availability. And as you go on shifts, you don't learn, you don't read, so something will suffer. Anyway, I made the money. I started my house before I left to a very basic level, but then I was able to work to move it up to decking before I came back after a year. I'm saying this because somebody may think that it's easy. Everything was PhD from South Africa, but I'm telling you that I started a PhD in the UK. What happened? And you didn't finish there. So I need to make it clear. So in 2008, when I had worked for about a year and I felt that, oh, I've made enough money, so now let me concentrate and now push through my PhD, then my mother died.
Oh.
So I had to quickly come back.
Home.
Unfortunately, at that time, my husband was also with me in the UK, so we had to come back quickly to come and sort out the funeral, the children. Now, if it's your mother, you can sleep. But if it's somebody else, how sure are you that a person can give the best care to your children? So instead of staying for 3 months, I stayed for 6 months, moved it to 9 months, because I couldn't get anybody I could trust to care for my 2 kids for me. Along the line, I got somebody, I said, let me try, and I went briefly. The long and short of it is that in the UK, after the first year, you are assessed, or you are reassessed to move into the full candidature as a PhD. And because I told you the first year I was working, the second year, then my mother's issue, so after the assessments, I couldn't cross the bridge. So they kept my candidature on hold until they see that I can make it. Well, that's didn't really settle down very well with me emotionally. Okay. So my blood pressure started going up. I went as high as 180, 200, 120, 110, all that. Well, at the end of the day, I had to come back again. The moment I came back, my dad also died. And so in the process of, you know, consoling your wife, I became pregnant again. And so I was entering the 3rd year then. The long and short is that I had to withdraw from the program. Because I couldn't leave my kids. I didn't get anybody I could trust. And then I was also making the progress that I needed to make. So I withdrew from the program and I had to go back to work. Okay. So you went for school, study leave, but you didn't come back with any certificate. So what are you coming back to do? You came back pregnant, heavily pregnant. So I came back, wrote my reports, what had happened, and then I took my maternity leave. So during the process of the maternity leave, I had to do a lot of reflections to really, where did I go wrong? First class students, many distinctions during your nursing training, Ghana A nurse, why couldn't you finish PhD? So I went through all the feedback I had received from my supervisors and had to take some decisions along the line. So after the maternity leave, I came back to work and then I went for a personal loan and then enrolled in South Africa. At the time? I can't remember the figure, but about 40, 50,000, I'm not too sure. So fortunately, my supervisor, I met him before at one conference, so I explained to him what's... So in the UK, even though I wasn't really learning, I was attending all the training programs, every software that is needed, I had to learn how to use it. I didn't switch off completely, so I had done substantial work as a foundation for progress. So I enrolled somewhere in 2011. By 2012, November, I had finished. And 2013, 19th March, which I will never forget in my life, I graduated with my PhD. Now the journey was that short because I had done a lot of reflection to learn what went wrong, so I wouldn't repeat that again. And I have shared this story with many PhD students from one forum to the other, that you don't have to blame anybody. You just have to do self-reflection and tidy up the dirty areas and tighten the loose knots here and there. So there were a number of strategies I adopted to ensure that I finished within that time. Okay, what were some of the strategies? Because I know ideally a PhD should take about 5 years. Yeah, 3 to 4, 5. 5 is a bit on the high side, but 3, 4, yes. Okay. So I told you I reported back to work. So this PhD was like a part-time PhD, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Even though it was full-time for me. So I negotiated with my students to do early morning lectures, some weekend lectures, just to finish the course outline so I can have the rest of the semester. I negotiated with my friends, I mean like faculty, colleagues I want to teach, like I teach Monday, I'm teaching full day kind of, so that we can swap some days so I can have full Thursday, Friday or so off. I had to abandon my office and get a space I could learn and concentrate.
Okay.
Those days, now I still have a driver. I had a driver, not because I couldn't drive, but then I wanted somebody to be able to pick the kids so I can finish what I was doing. I added weekends to my calendar. The earliest I slept was say 1 a.m., 12:30, 1:30 a.m., Monday to Sunday. I made sure that I wasn't keeping things like, you know, when you become emotionally stressed or somebody does something you can't forgive, the space I need to read and understand and do your academic work is occupied with this negative emotions. So I try to just rubbish things and move on. You know, you step on my toes. Okay, this is the second one. You can step on it. It's not too painful. I use those kind of strategies to make sure that I have enough cognitive space for my work. And I was able to do it because I had, you know, told myself, I'm not that bad. I'm not that stupid. I'm an intelligent woman. Yeah. So I took the bull by the horn and I did it. Now, I didn't put the fire off after submission. I used the same fire, same consistency to go into the publishing. So in the university, after the lectureship, you need to meet some criteria to get senior lecturer. So University of Ghana, you need a minimum of 6 good publications. So I said, if you have, I mean, predatory journals, you are out, but good publications in peer-reviewed journals. Okay. Between 2013 and 14, when I submitted for senior lecturer, I had 13 papers instead of the 6. Wow. Now, from senior lecturer to associate professor, you need an additional 12 minimum. I added, I think, additional 35 to get my associate professor, and I added another additional 26 to get my full professor. So now I have over 70, I mean, peer-reviewed journal articles minus book chapters and books. Now, how did I do it? Okay, this is where it is important for me, for others to know that if you do a single drive, you don't go further as you wish to. So I use a lot of energy in mentorship. So if I supervise you and you went through my hands, if you are any serious, at least you can publish a paper. Okay. And I'm going to publish with you anyway. Okay. And I did a lot of team work with my other colleagues, other partners. And I think that all these things have contributed to my rise. You know, what I use for the additional publications for the professorship, if you go through the list critically, you will see that, well, first author is very few. Most of them were my mentees, people that I've worked with over the years. So you go through the lecturer, senior lecturer, associate professor before you get to professor.
Prof, you have to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue. So the program is still Legends of Our Time. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more with Professor Aziato. Stay with us. The program is still Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. My name is Gifty Heji, and today my guest is Professor Lydia Aziato, and she is the first woman in us to become a professor. Hi, Prof.
Hello.
So you are a qualitative researcher.
Yes.
And then you've done a lot of work in the area of cancer, pain management, and then surgical nursing. Why that area of healthcare?
Okay, so I started my research journey with a study on women who have lost their breast.
Breast cancer.
Yes.
Okay.
So, well, I don't know how I got very much endowed in that area. And so I'm interested in that organ.
Okay.
I'm interested in the woman. So I was wondering, how is her life like? And you can only do that kind of work when you talk to the person to explain what he or she, I mean, men can get breast cancer, but it's not very common. So about 1% of the population of men, a total population of men can get breast cancer. So principally women. Now, that work laid the foundation for me to also do a specialization in oncology nursing in Canada in 2006. So being a cancer nurse, you need to contribute to that area
of knowledge.
Of knowledge, yes. So I do more breast cancer, prostate, and some cervical, but my principal interest is breast cancer.
Globally, it's a big issue now, and in Ghana, of course, we're also recording a lot of
breast cancer cases.
From the studies you've done, what really is the cause, and also the statistics, and how can we prevent a situation where an individual can develop the condition?
Well, so mostly the actual cause of cancers is unknown, but we have predisposing factors. Okay, so some predisposing factors of breast cancer include that the woman never had a child.
Oh.
So you are always secreting hormones. You are exposed to radiation. You are exposed to other chemicals, or family history, or one breast had the cancer, so the other one is more at risk than the other. Now, let me just say that for Ghana, our issues are that people do not report early.
Okay.
Most of my findings will show that the woman found something and went to the prayer camp instead than the hospital. Or she went to the primary level facility, and perhaps because that particular healthcare professional is not very knowledgeable and skilled in cancer issues or breast examination issues, miss the lump altogether. I have cases where the particular woman went to the facility about 3 times, always complaining, before another person asked her to go to a higher level facility. Now, this draws attention to the disparity in health professionals across levels. So you find that you go to a district facility and you have a medical assistant or somebody lower. So the doctors and the specialists are all centered at the higher level. So we miss a lot of cases. Another one is a high cost for treating breast cancer. So if I go to the hospital, can I afford? Now, you have a case where on paper, the health insurance covers surgery, and they also say it covers the chemotherapy.
Okay.
But
in
reality, you go, the drugs are not available, and because you are not going to pay, your list is postponed or is scheduled 6 months, a whole lot of issues on the ground. So these issues compound the problem. Another one is stigma.
Stigma.
So you have a woman, you are looking very beautiful, Gifty, today. Then tomorrow, even though this is a weave-on, perhaps it was your normal hair, the chemo would, your hair would drop off. Yeah. Then I won't mind my business and I'll be gossiping about you. And those who have fungates, so if you don't go to the hospital early, and advanced breast cancer, the wound is very offensive. You can find maggots and everything in the breast tissue and all that. The scent alone nobody wants to come close to you. For some people, the stigma is to the extent that nobody wants to chat with you, use the same utensils with you. And if I want to go into breast cancer, maybe we'll not finish, but I've done a lot in the other area. But one thing that interests me is the way men treat their wives when they are diagnosed. Few men support their wives through the process. They follow them to the hospital, they take care of them. Others also just neglect their wives. They don't pay their bill, they don't treat them well, and some marriages go on the rocks because of this problem and all that. So I think that couples, I wouldn't say men, we should support each other, because when I go into the area of prostate cancer, some women also do similar to their spouses. So we should be able to support each other, because it is for better, for worse.
For worse. Yeah. So are there precautions we can take in order to get, into those conditions? So
the breast cancer, we are supposed to be doing breast self-examination every month.
Okay.
At least if you can't do it every month, can you do it every quarter? So you can stand in front of the mirror and do it. You can lie down, do it. You can do it whilst you are taking your shower. And first of all, you need to look at the two breasts to see whether, well, this is my normal size. So, because some of the breast cancer is not a lump, it's rather inflammatory type of breast cancer. The breasts become bigger.
Okay.
So you need to look at it. Look at the skin around the breast to see whether there's any indentation, any discoloration, and then look at the nipple. Is it the same nipple I have every day? Once you are satisfied, naturally one breast seems to be a little bigger than the other. It's normal. Once you are satisfied that this is my everyday breast, then you now go and do the examination using the flat parts of your fingers, not the tip. Then you press around.
Okay.
It's like, I know that I can pound fufu and you won't find any cassava or lump or anything. That is what you are doing. So the breast is heavy. So the things in it, help you to produce milk when you have a baby. So it's not an empty shell. So that heaviness is there. But you are pressing against the chest to find whether there is that bean seed granules kind of thing anywhere. And then you compare it to the other side. Some women, their breast is lumpy, the tissues
heavy.
are heavier, it's fine. But once this side of the breast, there's something different, don't sit down, you have to go to the hospital. And then you can also do the mammogram along the line so that you can be safer.
Okay,
yeah.
So is it every lump that can be cancerous?
No. We have the one that is benign, that we can just remove, nothing else. But so they have to do the pathology, take the sample to the lab to test before they can confirm.
Okay.
The experienced one, once you palpate, the way this lump is, we know that this one, when you go to the lab, it will be cancerous. This one will not be. But everything has to be confirmed through the pathology reports.
So, Prof, a quick one. Is it true that breast cancer is actually curable?
Yes.
Okay.
If it is diagnosed early, it's curable.
How early is early you are talking about?
Okay, so we have stages. The breast cancer diagnosis is done in stages. So stage 1, stage 2 is curable.
Okay. How many stages do we have?
4.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. So 1 and 2.
1 and 2
curable.
can be cured, yes. And women who have been cured 30, 35 years, they are still around. So.
Who is the youngest patient you've ever attended to?
16-year-old.
Oh.
Stage 1, fortunately.
Okay.
Fortunately.
So she's fine now?
It's been a while. I have not followed up on her, so I'm not too sure. By the time of my last encounter, she was okay. But there was one 20-year-old, she's late.
What happened?
No, it was this diagnosed late. So.
Late.
Yeah. There was another 24-year-old, she's also gone.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Let's look at your other research areas, pain management. What are some of the major findings you've come across or come up with your studies?
Well, so this is rather my heavy research area, pain.
Pain.
And it came because, you know, after breast surgery, you are supposed to exercise your arm, the arm that the breast was removed, because the breast tissue extends to the armpits. So when the breast is removed, they remove the axillary tail of the breast.
Okay.
So the pain is severe. Now, if pain is managed well, you wouldn't have a problem of exercising the arm. So you are supposed to be raising the arm so the arm will not swell. Now, when I did my first breast cancer study, I became involved in the breast cancer support group, Reach for Recovery. And we go for meetings, we educate the women, we support them emotionally, we do free screening, and we appear on TV 1 or 2 times to talk about breast cancer, etc. Those days. Now, at that one of those meetings, I met a woman who developed a very huge arm because of poor pain management. We call it lymphedema. That was the first time I saw one, and I was scared. I said, wow. So when I got a chance to do my PhD, I decided to go into pain management, post-operative pain management. So perhaps I'll use the opportunity to just say a few things. Now, majority of people go to the hospital because of pain, one pain or the other. So I've done work on the surgical pain, menstrual pain, labor pain, pain and ethics, low back pain, cancer pain. The word pain attracts me. I'm very much interested in it. So the issue is that people think that when they report their pain, the health professionals will be angry with them, or they will say, you are hurting, and I say, they'll tag you. The nurses also think that when we continue to give you the pain medication, you become addicted. So the study, at the end of the day, we were able to develop a clinical guideline for a low resource context. Now, there are 4 key things. One is you give me my medication even if I'm not in pain. So I don't associate the pain with drug A or drug B that will cause the addiction. The second is that you give me the medication with other medications, so we call it multimodal treatment. So every drug has a half-life that it can be effective. So for example, if you take paracetamol, it can take you for 8 hours. There are some pain injections that can take you for only 4 hours. Okay. So if you give me the different drugs, at any time, there's some analgesia in my blood, so I don't experience very severe pain. Now, within our context also, we are used to people supervising our work. So the hospital leaders, the ward in charges, must check the patient chart to see whether the medications have been given, must talk to the patient to find out whether they are comfortable. When that is done, the nurses, the young nurses will know that, oh, because Prof will come and check, I have to do A, B, C. That is also one of the things. And education. Now, the patients, because they don't really know much of what we are doing, they think we know best, health professionals. So whatever we give them, you don't ask questions. It's not like that elsewhere. So when you ask them, oh, what medication were you given? Oh, they put some yellow thing in their drip. Oh, it helped me. I was able to sleep. They don't even know that is a vitamin. It's not a pain medication. So we educating our clients on their pain and how they can help manage them. Because see, when pain is poorly managed, the patients spend more time in the hospital. Their recovery is delayed, and they spend more money, and we ourselves become more tired. So we need to make sure that we educate them to understand the process of recovery and the various options that
available.
Yeah, exactly. And see, it is not only the pain medication, but if I went through surgery, you are supposed to give me that antibiotic to help me heal.
Cover.
And you are supposed to give me the other medications that have been prescribed. So pain medication is just an aspect of the care. Now, my studies over the years have shown that the context, the African context, some tribes do not want to express pain. They see it as a sign of being weak. So, for example, you interview women from the north who are in labor, and they tell you that if I shout, when I go back, people will tease me because it's the polygamous environment. Your rival and other people would tease you, so they don't want to shout. Meanwhile, they are suffering. And at the end of the day, when the nurses also are taking care of them, you know, some of the hospitals, the drugs, the patient do not even have it. So what are you going to administer? At the end, you know that I'm supposed to give, but because the drugs are not available. So we need to help our people, our family members, to purchase drugs that have been prescribed. The nurses should not be afraid of administering the prescribed medications, and we should add education to the patient's care.
Okay, that's interesting to know. So as a trainer and also examiner, let's quickly look at your area, you know, nursing and midwifery. I've heard comments to the fact that, you know, nurses of today are not too professional. Has it come to your notice, and what is being done to solve the situation?
Well, I would say that the nurses not being professional, not being caring, comes from the home. Now, you give me a lady, a gentleman for 4 years to train here. By the time this girl or gentleman came, her habits had formed. Now, I always throw it back to the family to say, if you want a goodness, start from the home before the person comes to me. So I add up. Now, they come in here and they are adults. University or tertiary education is not like basic school that you force people to do ABC. So we expect that families, parents will help us train nurses, in quotes, train people with empathy, train people who care. Now, nursing and midwifery, unfortunately, is a profession that you need that extra caring spirit. It's not theory. It's not that because there's work, so I want to just go to work. No. You need to care. You need to have that concern for human beings. So, yes, we have seen nurses who do not care, and we have seen nurses who also care. The problem is not the training institutions. The problem is a community holistic problem that we all need to do something about. For example, you have a student come in class and the attitude is so bad. You intervene and you want to punish the person before you realize you're on social media, you're on air. So we also try to limit the way we are enforcing some of the stringent rules.
But that is not the best. It's not the best.
Well, it is not the best for you, but it is best for me to keep my job. So we are working in a very complex environment where the law, the rights of the person is so complex. So yes, I have the right to discipline you, but I have to do it within the law.
Okay.
You do get it. So at the end of the day, you can do the best you can do, but the parents must add on. Before that boy or that girl comes to me, you must do some groundwork. Because the nursing and the midwifery work is such that without that feeling of empathy, you can't be a good nurse or a midwife.
Good. Now we keep hearing of the Halloween, stories of some midwives who connive with other health officials to sell newborns to clients. I mean, once in a while we hear it. What's going to be the new approach, or what are you doing to kind of control that problem?
Well, fortunately,
because you are also a member of the Nursing and Midwifery Council.
Yeah. Yes. Once you are a licensed nurse, you are also a regulator. Fortunately, I haven't seen that happen in my own eyes. I hear it also. It's the culture that demands that I should have a child. Elsewhere, childbirth is not a problem. I choose to have or not have. But here, the stress that women or couples, childless couples go through is just too much. I think it's time that we as Ghanaians or Africans redefined our expectations for couples. So I think it is that cultural demand that is pushing some people to do that. That nurse, that doctor, that midwife, that obstetrician who work together to do this, I think that it is something that is very, very illegal. There's no way somebody's labor, somebody's 9 months of toils would just be given to another person because of money. How much money? And it will finish. From the beginning, I told you that I stayed because I am not for the money. It's not about money, but it's about what is the impact, what is the care, what is the contribution that you can make. So long and short, I would say that no midwife, no nurse should do that. Even if the temptation is very, very high, remember that money is not everything. Because at the end of the day, what will you gain after you have spent all the money? What else will happen to you? So I believe that that should not happen. And fortunately, the Nurse and Midwifery Council, they have their disciplinary committees that they, whoever is reported for any illegal action is taken through the processes and the person is brought to book. So I'm sure that they'll continue to do their best in that area.
Thank you, Prof. We'll take our last break, and when we come back, we'll conclude the whole discussion. Okay. So it's still Legends of Our Time on GBC News. My name is Gifty, and my guest for today is Professor Lydia Aziato, and she is the very first nurse to become a professor in Ghana. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Watching Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television, and my guest for today is Professor Lydia Aziato, and she is the very first nurse in Ghana to become a professor. So, Prof, you even have an award category dedicated to you. What kind of award? What's the name of the award, and what does it seek to
Professor Lydia Aziato Research Award.
Okay.
So this was instituted by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. I mean, to acknowledge or honor the work I've done so far.
That's great. So let's look at, you know, Prof as a worker, a lecturer, a mother, a wife. I mean, that's huge. How did you combine all these?
All right. So fortunately, my husband doesn't live in Accra. He lives up north. So that has been one of the things that I have been very, very fortunate of. So he comes to Accra not often, about 4 or 5 times a year or less, depending on the schedule and events.
And that's okay by you?
Very much so.
Okay.
So I just want to tell my colleagues, women out there, that, you know, you can't eat your cake and have it. You need to sacrifice one thing or the other to get something else done.
Okay.
And so if your spouse is not living with you, you don't grumble. You use the time and the energy for other things. So that is something that I always say, that my husband doesn't live with me, so I have time on my hands to do my work.
Of things.
Okay. Then my children, I have 3. The first is 21, a boy, or a man now, a young man.
Adults.
And then I have a 14, soon to be 15 this month. And I have an 11, they are both girls. Then I also involve my children in my work a lot. So the young man in the medical school, the girls, they are very good in editing. Okay. And my boy especially is a very good critic. So usually I get invitation for keynote addresses. And this boy, after I have written my notes, he will go through, change it, and say, you have to say this one before this one. Okay. Kind of. So even though I'm busy, I bring them on board as much as possible. And then because I do qualitative research, I do interviews, focus groups, and sometimes the transcription, there's some money for transcription, so I involve especially the boy, yes, to transcribe, and then you give them some coins for himself. And so at the end of the day, yes, I'm very busy, but I kind of try to engage them as much as I can, yes. And then sometimes they themselves will come and take my laptop and go and hide it, that I should rest.
Overworking.
Yes. Now, in terms of the house, I told you that you can't eat your cake and have it. So when you use the energy to go to the market, to come and cook, to sweep, to scrub, when you sit down to do academic work, give yourself an hour or 2, you'll be sleeping because you are tired. So because of that, I do hired labor. I have people that I pay to help me. So I have a nanny, I have a driver, I have people that I pay to do things for me so I can preserve my energy from my academic work. Now, the work is not just being a dean administrative. You are teaching, you are supervising students across programs. So you have your own PhD student, master's student. You are also co-supervising other disciplines that the work is qualitative. So you asked me from the beginning why I do qualitative research. I just want to say that nursing is about care, and before we can care for somebody, you need to understand the person. So most nurses globally do qualitative research because it allows you to understand the person, understand what the person is going through, so you can package the care to suit the person. And therefore, I do about 100% of my research qualitative. It doesn't mean that I don't work with other people, but when I'm working with other research team members, I am responsible for the qualitative aspects. Okay. Now, I just also want to add that in addition to maintaining the home, keeping the home running, making sure your kids are okay, your staff and other people, it's also your spiritual life. Okay. My mother had 13 of us. I didn't go through my childhood.
Why?
At this time, my mother had 13 of us. It's left with only 2 of us, me and the one that comes after me. The fact that I see life as a gift. I see that, why did all of them die? I didn't die. I'm still alive, you know. So at the end of the day, I know that somebody holds my life. And so I don't also play with my spiritual life because I know that without God, I'm nothing. So you need to find a balance for all these. You also learn how to say no sometimes, because you know that you are just one person. You can't divide yourself into 3 or 4. So sometimes you have to learn to say no. They invite you to places. Now there's Momo. You can just Momo something to the person and say, unfortunately, I can't make it. And you have to be attentive. I told you that I got blood pressure when I was in the UK. I'm still taking my blood pressure medication every day. You don't stop because you can get a stroke or you can just get something, a complication. So you always must make sure that you are attentive to your health, your spiritual life, your home, your spouse. Just you have to multitask and keep the eye on each of of them. If you leave one, by the time you become conscious of that one, it's too late. Especially now that there's a lot on the internet. So you have kids now, you don't monitor. By the time you realize they are into something
that's a big area.
You will regret. Recently, my last girl was reading something on the tablet, and I said, let me have a look at what you're reading. This girl was reading a romance novel. I said, at 11 years. You know, I was just surprised, but that is the age that we have. So in the nutshell, I would just say that you should have a target, a goal. Since I started nursing, my drive was to become a professor in nursing. And so you ask yourself, how do I get there? One thing that I also didn't mention is the role of mentors in your life.
Okay.
In the nursing and midwifery profession, I didn't have any nurse or midwife in the country that has risen to that level. So I needed to get mentors in different disciplines. So I had 4 mentors that have held my hands through my journey.
And which are these people?
Well, so my university assigned mentor was Professor Matekole.
Okay.
And he is a psychologist, professor in psychology, and he has given me a lot of pressure to keep me on my toes, research and publish. And then I also chose the others myself. I have Professor Abraham Annan, who retired. Yeah, Noguchi does retired, and I collaborated with him to do some projects, and he's also like a father figure for me. And then I have 2 women. I have Professor Yantiama Bedu, who also retired as a Pro-Vice Chancellor in charge of research from the University of Ghana. And she is also a very, very seasoned professor. And I have learned a lot from her. And one professor now in the UK, Professor Amadi Graft Akins, she was here and then now she has gone back to the UK to work there. And she's also a seasoned qualitative researcher, and I tapped from her also as I journeyed along. My supervisors have also played key role. One of them, Professor Adejumo, Oluyinka Adejumo, a Nigerian but stayed in South Africa for many years, who supervised my PhD work. And this professor has held my hands through. And Professor Jonat Keglante was also my supervisor during my master's. He is also a breast surgeon consultant, also a professor, and they have, I mean, I'm still in touch with them. I still discuss my issues with them, ask for guidance and whatever I have to do. So mentorship is very important. So if you want to get anywhere, I mean, tap for the people who have walked the journey, and I'm sure that with their guidance, you will also...
There's a popular quote that if I've been able to get further, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. I really love that phrase. So that has really brought you
Yes. So because of that, I also devote a lot of my time to mentor others, not only the University of Ghana, but across
Tell us about that project you're undertaking.
Well, so when I received an award for emerging nurse researcher for the whole of Africa in 2017.
That's a big one.
Was conferred by the second largest nursing organization, Sigma Theta Tau International, which is headquartered in Indianapolis in the US. This award was conferred in Ireland. So after the award, I think the glass is over there behind you, I asked myself, when will the next Ghanaian nurse also win this award? So I brought some friends across the globe on board, and we started the Research Mentorship Alliance, which is a platform for us to mentor young nurses and midwives to, enhance their research skills and publish. And, at that same time, then I got the position of acting dean for the school, because at that time I wasn't a professor yet. So I became an acting dean from 2017 to 19, and then I became a substantive dean from that time.
Okay.
So the two activities clashed. So the energy I had to devote into the Mentorship Alliance was diverted into my deanship role to bring the school up. At that time, we were just about 13 or so on staff. Now we are about 45. Had to do a lot of things to bring the school up to the current status, new programs and all that. Now, the Research Mentorship Alliance is such that we hold each other's hands. So if you know something and he doesn't know, you teach him.
Okay.
And if you don't know something and I know, I teach you. Sure. So it's like peer mentorship platform. So when people come on board, we ask them what they know and teach somebody else, and what they want to learn. So we do that kind of pairing. And that is how we have been running it on a very low key up to today. But a lot of people are publishing. Some people are getting their senior lecturers. Okay. I'm hoping that in the next 5-10 years, we have a lot more professors in nursing and midwifery.
So, Prof. Aziato, do you rest at all? Because, I mean, from all that you've said,
do I rest
it's
at
too
all?
much for one person.
Until Corona, I wasn't resting much. But when Corona came, I said that I was going to rest, and I've been resting.
So when you're resting, what exactly do you do?
Well, I just keep my mind blank, and I lie down and think about myself. You know, I can't sleep because for a number of years, I've been sleeping at 1 a.m., 1:30, 12 midnight at the earliest. So even if I go in and I said I'm going to sleep,
you can't.
My eyes can't close. So
you watch movies,
no,
listen
I'm not
to
a movie
music.
person, I'm not a TV person.
So what do you like?
Nothing. My life is just, I can enjoy some music, yes, but if I don't have it, I don't put it on. I want peace. I want a serene environment. Okay. I want to just have quietness. That's me. I don't like noise. I don't like things to distract me. So I prefer to just be there and just be, I don't know, I can keep my brain, I can shut off. Okay. Whatever it is, nothing is happening up there. I can shut off. So I can shut off for an hour, 2, 3. I'm not thinking about anything. My brain is sleeping, you know, but my eyes are open. Kind of. But that is the life. I am not the type that is into social activities. No, I'm not that.
You are the reserved type.
I'm not reserved. Whoever tells you I'm reserved, the person is lying. I'm very active, extroverted, very open, easy to talk to. I make friends easily. But when I am within my space, I just want to have some peace. Yeah, but I'm not a quiet person. I'm not a shy person. I am not quiet.
Any regrets?
Well, any regrets? Maybe 1 or 2. Okay. One is that my parents didn't see me make it. My dad was a farmer in the village, schooled way back in the village. No lights, no potable water, walked many miles to school. Meager peasant farmer, seeing the daughter through. I was the first in my family to finish university, and my dad, I remember at my graduation, was very proud, first class daughter, but he didn't live to see me make it. My mom didn't even go to school, so I regret that he didn't live long. Then my second regret is the fact that people do not give opportunity fairly. If anybody had, shall I say, prevented me from entering the nursing college, if anybody had prevented me from entering the university, would I have made it?
No.
So I regret that people, downplay potentials. And I've seen several of that within the nursing and midwifery fraternity. When I was supposed to go to school for my PhD, I was nearly refused because somebody thought that
you couldn't
I wasn't due, I wasn't ready. So it took the then Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Yanka, to make a case, to approve for me to go, even though whoever was there at that time did not approve. Because it was coming from the top, he didn't have anything to say, I had to go. So I regret that people within my profession, people curtail potentials because of this, and I pray and I wish that nurses and midwives would, stop preventing others from showing their potential and shining, So when you're working with somebody and you see that this nurse, this midwife is so skilled, encourage the person to go further. This department started in 1963 before it became a school in 2003. 1963 to 2000, so my promotion was backdated to 2020 because the university would always give you at the date that you submitted the application for promotion, no matter how long it takes. So my professorship is from 2020 September. So from 1963 to 2020, before we are now having the first nurse professor. Why did we take this long? It could have been earlier. We could have had more. And even this professor, we don't have any associate professor at the moment. Somebody has submitted, but it's not yet out.
Okay.
So the whole school, I'm the only professor here. Kenya, so we have 2 associate professors. That's it. The other universities, we don't have any professor in active service.
Wow.
Yes, we don't have from the north to the south. Why? So I regret that our nurses and midwives did not enhance people's potentials over the years. And that is something that I try as much as possible to, change. The moment I get the opportunity to push people, I push them, unless you don't want to push yourself. Yeah.
Professor Aziato, before we go, my very last question. How do you want history to remember you?
Well, how do I want history to remember me? Once upon a time, there was a nurse who paid with her blood to break the ceiling for nursing in terms of nursing research, nurses in academia, nurses in leadership, nurses that have made it possible for other nurses and midwives to see that a nurse or a midwife can also be the final signatory to whatever is on the table. The nurse or the midwife can be the final decision maker.
Yeah.
I want history to remember me in the area of saying that no matter where you started from, no matter the up and downs, a nurse or a midwife can push through the barriers. I didn't pass my A-level physics and chemistry. I didn't pass my first attempt at PhD, but I didn't lie down there crying. I made it. So I just want history to remember me for persevering to break the glass ceiling, no matter what.
Thank you, Professor Lydia Aziato. We are so grateful. I've taken a lot of inspiration from what that you said today. We are so grateful for this interview.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Indeed, you are a legend, and we are so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the program has been Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. My guest for today has been Professor Lydia Aziato. She is the Dean, School of Nursing and Midwifery, University of Ghana, and she is the very first nurse in Ghana to become a professor. My name is Gifty AJ. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.